Yeah. Good morning. At this time, we'll call the June 2025 meeting of the Wilson County Planning Commission into order. Anyone wishing to give testimony before this board today, if you would, please stand and raise your right hand. I hereby affirm the testimony I give today to be the whole truth, so help me God. Say I do, please. I do. Thank you. We need to approve the minutes from the May 16th meeting. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
A motion to approve. Do I have a second? Second by Ms. Weathers. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion will carry. And Christopher, I think we would need to start with old business.
Yes, sir. First item on the agenda for old business is the site plan at Couchville Crossings. It's 645 Couchville Pike and 657 Couchville Pike. It's 2 lots. Staff can recommend approval. I would make this motion subject to the Couchville Pike Commercial Master Plan Amendment being approved by the County Commission. You have a master plan amendment on the first item for new business, but even if you all approve it, that'll still have to go to County Commission. So I would make that site plan, if you wish to approve it, contingent upon the County Commission approval.
Okay. Who do we have here to represent this case today? Yes, sir. Please come forward and state your name for the record.
My name is Mike Hunkler. I'm a civil engineer with Gresham Smith. And this particular lot the geometry is very narrow. The south of our lot is a truck storage facility. And so the purpose of our case is, because it's so narrow, we're trying to be able to squeeze in a convenience store and a quick serve restaurant. So on the recorded plat, it actually shows a 10-foot building setback, but the master plan didn't actually show dimensions. So this is kind of a little bit of bookkeeping to make sure everything lines up on the site plan. And there's also a cemetery right in the middle of this. So there's a little bit of setback issue with that too. So the details are on the plan itself, but we're looking for a little bit of encroachment to be a little bit farther south. We've added additional landscaping, and our client here is if you have any more questions, but we'd appreciate your review and approval.
You said you had 10-foot setbacks?
On the plat, there's a 10-foot building setback, but the master plan didn't actually show a dimension.
What are the actual dimensions for your setback?
Right now, the building itself is 27 feet off the property line. The gas canopy is about 45 feet off the property line, but the setbacks are shown as 60 feet.
The front setback for this master plan district is 60 feet, and then other side boundaries are 50 feet, and then the property line that abuts the state right-of-way is 25 feet. So they're looking to amend the rear setback line on this, which would be from the required 50 feet down to 25 feet is what they're requesting, which will get them to be able to meet that front yard setback for their canopy and the building that they're wanting to place on the property.
Chris, how many graves are in that?
Graves? I'd say there's at least 15.
Very big. You know who they are?
Lanham.
The Lanhams, and there's a few Garvins in there.
Develop it, know that they do have a right for ingress and regress into the.
Oh yeah, in their proposed master plan, they're paving a parking spot that they'll be able to be utilized. Now it'll be a public parking spot. I can't say there'll always be a space available, but they are providing a better access than what they currently have there.
Christopher, do we have the authority to give them a variance on their setback, or does that have to go before BOZA?
No, that master plan is it's site specific. It's part of the zoning for a master plan, so that comes from you all.
Okay, so the concession we are making is actually with the state right away on the interstate.
No, it'd be the rear property line that what it abuts. What I think is Star Trucking now. They have the option to go to BOZA. They actually tried that option to just get a variance from the required master plan setbacks. That was denied. So the next step for them, if they want to achieve the layout that they have, is to amend the master plan to just make the setbacks the required 25 feet they want them. And that is, we do have that in other master plans around the county where setbacks are amended where they abut neighboring commercial, but they did try the Boza route to do it through just a normal setback variance. Now they're trying to make it the setbacks a matter of zoning.
Now, what they asked Boza for is actually a variance on the actual canopy, I think, originally.
Yeah, it was a front yard setback request, and that was denied.
Okay, but they're moving backwards now.
Yes, sir. Yep.
Yeah, we're moving away from state route to the south.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else wishing to speak on this case today? We have any questions from our board?
Mr. Chairman,
Mr. Renfro?
did I hear it properly, sir? You said 40 feet is you're going to be setting instead of 50 feet, but you're asking for 25, or I'm missing those numbers?
I don't have a pen. I guess I could point.
Here you go.
You got one?
It's actually, we're 20.
It's just the button on the side.
30.
Oh, okay. Because I heard that it was 50 and you guys, the canopy is now 40, but it's 27 instead.
It's now good, but we're asking for the rear setback here, and we want the 25 feet, that's 27
To
feet.
give you a 2-foot tolerance.
Yeah.
Thank you. That's what I need to see. Okay. Yeah.
This building is 27 feet. This canopy is 45 feet.
Which would, the setback then would cover all of those property, all those
25-foot
buildings and such.
cover both of the rear setbacks.
That's it, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, sir.
Any other questions from our board? Do we have a motion?
Motion to approve based on staff recommendations.
Have a motion to approve, Ms. Withers, to approve based on staff recommendations. We have a second.
Second.
Second from Mr. Renfro.
Before you finish that vote, I would make that
Contingent on approval by the county commission.
master plan by the county commission.
Will you make that amendment?
I will.
Okay. Okay. We have a motion, a second. That's okay with you, Mr. Renfro?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All those in favor vote aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? That motion will carry. Thank you, sir. Ready for the site plan for United Rentals, 105 Logistics Way?
Yes, sir. This is this one lot at 105 Logistics Drive. Site plan meets requirements. Staff can recommend approval. They've submitted corrected copies to the office.
And we tied this thing up on several different things that they couldn't do, and everything's falling within that.
They are yes, they've got a privacy fence along the road frontage. The reason that they deferred from last month, they originally had a 5,000 square foot building roughly. Now it's just north of 10,000 square feet. So they were amending the site plan there, but they've shown a privacy fence along the frontage to meet that equipment storage requirement that was on part of the master plan.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Who's here to represent this case today?
Morning, Joe Haddix. I can confirm that they are not going to bring their porta-john storage to this
Progress.
to the site.
Okay.
So, answer any additional questions you may have.
We have anyone else here wishing to speak on this case today? Any questions from our board?
And just, yes, sir. As last time we discussed this, wasn't there a drainage, Mr. Haddix, issue with some sinkholes and things where the building was going to be, but you guys were going to take care of that? Where all the tree line is,
Yes, sir. With the original master plan approval, there were a couple sinkholes on this property to the south of it. If you drive out there now, the southern piece has already been developed.
Yes, sir.
And everything drains to a large karst feature sinkhole between the property to the south and the Middle Tennessee substation.
I thought it had been taken
So-
care of, yeah.
Stormwater phase 1's done, which mass graded this site. Stormwater's approved as built, and
Great.
they've got their UNOs.
Just thought I was remembering that right. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
That's it, Mr. Chairman.
Any other questions from our board? We have a motion.
I'll move.
We have a motion to approve subject staff recommendations.
Yes, sir.
And a second from Mr. Turner. All those in favor vote aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? That motion will carry. Thank you. Ready for new business now, Christopher?
Yes, sir. Mr. Chair, the first item on new business, the applicant has The application has been made by Old Acre McDonald LLC to amend the Couchville Pike Commercial Master Plan to modify the rear setback requirements for a proposed site plan Couchville Crossings, which was under old business, to allow the canopy of the fueling station to meet the setback requirements. The property contains 6.24 acres, being referenced as Wilson County Tax Map 138, parcels 39.06 and 39.12. This is a C4 master plan specific zone property which was approved on September 19th of 2022. The plan currently calls for a rear yard setback requirement of 50 feet. The proposed amendment is to modify the rear setback requirement for parcel A only of the Couchville Pike Commercial to 25 feet. This will allow for the proposed building that is referenced in the Couchville Crossing site plan previously approved to fit on the site without the need of additional setback variances from the Board of Zoning Appeals. The land use plan for this site currently calls for high intensity commercial. This request for setback modification still fits in within the parameters of the commercial designation for this property. Staff can recommend approval of the request. If approved, this will go to the July County Commission meeting for final approval.
And you are recommending approval,
Yes, sir.
but it's in keeping what we just approved.
Yes, sir. Yep. It's actually allowing what you just approved to go forth.
Anyone here wishing to speak on this case today? Do we have any questions from our board?
Answered. No, sir.
You good?
Yeah. It was a holiday yesterday. I feel good. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Okay. Seeing no questions, do we have a motion?
So move.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead. We have a motion from Mr. Jewell, second by Mr. Ash.
Motion, I make the motion subject to staff recommendations and subject to the county court approving the issue. Is that what we're looking for, Chris, going forward?
That was on the first one.
Yeah, just on the first one. This one is just a recommendation to the county commission, so you don't have to.
Motion approved.
Motion approved, subject.
Mr. Jewell, second by Mr. Ash. All those in favor vote aye.
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 Those opposed? Motion will carry. Thank you.
And that'll be heard at the July county commission meeting.
Excellent.
All right, are you ready for the next?
Yes, sir. I'm sorry.
Okay. Application has been made by property owner McCreary iOS Ventures LLC. Is requesting a land use plan amendment from low density residential area to high intensity commercial area. The applicant also seeks to rezone the same property from R1 rural residential to a C3 PUD, highway commercial plan use development. The property contains approximately 5.01 acres and is located at 3410 McCreary Road and is further referenced as parcel 36.01 on Wilson County Tax Map 137. The Wilson County Land Use Plan has provided direction since 2006. Such density or intensity realization would still be subject to findings that much of the infrastructure required to support such density and intensity of land development was in place. The applicant has requested that the 2006 adopted land use plan be amended in relation to this parcel to permit a land use mix of truck parking, lay-down yards, outdoor storage of equipment, and light industrial. The current plan has this area as low-density residential. The laydown yards and light industrial uses would not be permitted in a C3 PUD, and staff does not feel that these uses were the intent of the character of the area when commercial direction has been given for surrounding properties. Staff would recommend that these uses be removed from the request. Outdoor storage of equipment is left on the use table. Staff recommends that requirements be made for enhanced screening and privacy fence to be installed along the current right-of-way if that use is left in the master plan. However, this being said, much of the surrounding area has been amended to allow high-intensity commercial, and much of the surrounding property that has been rezoned to C4 plan commercial to allow retail, warehouse distribution, and rental/storage lots. The adjoining property to the west of this was zoned C3 PUD to allow truck parking, and that is what you all probably know as big rig trucking. This is the property directly to the east of it.
So this is south of the intersection now.
South of the intersection, that is. In this instance, staff does have concerns that adequate infrastructure in the area, along with some drainage concerns. The applicant is also responsible for a master plan development that has been approved directly to the south and north of this parcel on August 19th, 2024. And that master plan has commitments on record that many of the infrastructure concerns listed above are to be addressed. Not only have these commitments been approved as part of that master plan, but the improvements are to be completed prior to any certificate of occupancy would be issued for the site in question. Those improvements are, but not limited to, raising and realigning Vesta Road, making McCreary Road heading south an industrial road section, raising and extending the length of the bridge on McCreary Road over Hurricane Creek, and helping to mitigate and realign the drainage issues that currently inundate the intersection of Vesta and McCreary Road. This property is being proposed to further improve the drainage issues by allowing a continuous ditch to be constructed through the property from the north, allowing the water to freely flow south to Hurricane Creek. So to kind of wrap that up, they're going to also utilize this site. They've got a significant drainage easement on the rear of this site that they're going to continue from the north to the south to their existing PUD. It's going to allow more freely drainage. That'll get looked at by stormwater a lot more on the site plan side, but they are calling that area out to allow for free flow of drainage, which hopefully will mitigate some of the problems that we have at that intersection further. Finally, staff, should the county commission, planning commission or county commission ultimately decide to approve this requirement for rezoning, a site plan will be required at the time the property is proposed for development. Under commercial zoning and all commercial requirements, including permitting, paving, landscaping, building material, and public sewer provisions would apply to this property unless variances were granted by the Board of Zoning Appeals for any of the specifically listed site plan and commercial requirements that have not been approved as part of this master plan. Finally, staff has made copies of the rezoning request available to emergency services, Wilson County Schools, and the Road Commission. Staff will note that the proposed rezoning falls within the limits of the Gladeville-Wema Station's 5-mile ISO response zone for fire and emergency service. The County Stormwater Department has requested that the applicant, Planning Commission, and other interested parties be put on notice that the presence of sinkholes, caves, wetland streams, and land areas of extremely flat, marshy, or steep may affect further development on these tracts of lands. As an additional point of information, this rezoning does not appear to be in close or immediate proximity to any Century Farms based on information provided to the Wilson County Planning Department. Due to the request's direct proximity to an established master plan, staff can reason for the Planning Commission to approve this request. With this request, if approved, staff recommends the developer agree to removing laydown yards and light industrial uses from the proposal. Also, as additional points, recommends a motion, if approved, state that a privacy fence and increased buffer to be installed if the proposed use of equipment storage is left on the table, and that the request be tied to the McCreary Road infrastructure improvements required by the previous developments. Currently, the property does not have land use direction for high intensity, high commercial on this property. Therefore, staff cannot recommend approval as the request. I know that was a lot of the recommendations, and if you have questions on that, I'm happy to go back through that.
We have the same owners here who own the property across the street there.
They're different companies, but I believe they're ultimately the same owner. They definitely have the same representative.
Okay. Yes, sir.
Morning, Nathan Quinn. And it's just it's a different entity, but yes, it's all the same ownership. And I can answer any questions, but a lot of this grew out of ultimately the portion that we're asking to be rezoned and the land use amendment changed would just be absorbed into the existing C3 PUD that used to be owned by Big Rig, that's now owned by a company called Green Core Partners.
Okay.
So we are fine with staff recommendations on usage, those changes to add more robust screening, to hide if they want to be able to store equipment there, and restricting the use to take away light industrial. We're fine with all of those recommendations. But it does memorialize the drainage improvements that we committed to on the larger rezone that we took before this body within the last 8 months. And the flood study is being reviewed by the county engineering currently, along with the roadway improvement plans. Those are all in the processes of being approved right now as we speak. And a portion of that study, basically we'll just pull a large open drainage ditch around. So let's go back there. Here. And we cross back across McCreary Road and run south in an open continuous ditch to Hurricane Creek.
So the new ditch that's supposed to clean that entire area up, goes down to the west of Macquarie Road,
Correct.
goes around this parcel of property, goes back across Macquarie Road, and then dumps into Hurricane Creek
Correct.
on the east side of the bridge. Is that an accurate?
That is accurate, and our flood study doesn't consider the injection wells that currently are in place helping in any way. So this flood study was as if those don't exist. So all of our channel sizes and crossing sizes are designed to take all of the stormwater to Hurricane Creek without the benefit of any injection wells.
But there are injection wells there.
Correct. Yes, sir. There's one in the northwest corner of the subject property, and then there's another one at the IDI on the northwest corner of McCurry and Couchville Pike.
I have a question, Mr.
Yes, sir.
Mike. So we're talking about crossing Macquarie Road and moving the water. So, and you've been to the road commission.
Yes, sir. We had the roadway plan approved by the County Road Commission. We have a letter that speaks to that
Y'all
approval.
providing a performance bond on any of that stuff?
Absolutely. Yeah. At the time of land disturbance permit, we would post a letter of credit.
And Christopher, this property would be tied to the commitments they've already made on the east side of Macquarie Road, correct? As far as being able to get any buildings completed, COs issued?
If the developer agrees to that, yes, but that's not in the original request.
Okay.
And that brings up a question with me, not just this property, but all this out here on Macquarie Road. We got a lot of developers promising a lot of things, but then if they sell out,
No, they're tied to the master plan.
it's still tied to the master.
Yes. hmm
Yes, sir. And we're actually in the process of getting our land disturbance permit for the west side of McCurry Road to start mass grading there. And then soon after the east side of McCurry Road. And then
Y'all own the whole thing, in won't you?
we do, sir. Yeah. So we're in control of our own fate and making sure that all these are completed.
So what you're saying, Chris, anytime there's a change in the ownership of property, whatever has been applied to that property goes with it, just like anything else.
Yes. Yeah. No, it stays with
Clean this up.
it stays with the
Married.
property. hmm
Liabilities and the assets.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
But now that does, let's just say, the zoning doesn't revert back. The property's just tied to the master plan.
Correct. No, the zoning will stay. Well, in this instance, it'd be a C3 PUD. It'll stay there whether they sell it or not. But like if they sell it to another developer, it'd be a little hard to work with, but they would be required to make sure that ditch that they're promising on this is continuous flow, even though they'd be working with other entities.
I would like to see this tied to the commitments that your company made on the east side of the road.
It's understandable.
Quite frankly, y'all made a tremendous amount of commitments to do a tremendous amount of work there.
Sure.
And I would like to see them tied together going forward.
Those are very lengthy commitments. Part of that is that the road interchange and everything, they can pull land disturbance on this property, but they cannot get a CO on any buildings approved on this property until the infrastructure improvements are done on McCreary Road. That the bridge is a different. We're just talking about the intersection at this point for this property. But
I guess this is just a dumb question, I guess. All sheriffs make dumb comments too. How long is it going to take to finish all this once you get everything you need in place?
We're planning and endeavoring to go fast. And I guess the short answer would be currently we plan to mass grade all 180 acres in the next 12 months and simultaneously start and work on the McCreary Road widening improvements as kind of our phase one. And then after those widening improvements are completed, we would immediately start the bridge. So we're submitting the engineering plans for the bridge redesign and replacement in July. The road plans are being approved as we speak. As I said, we've already met with Gladeville Utility District, Middle Tennessee Electric. They're currently redesigning their relocations. We met with them both in the last 2 weeks. So all of these things are moving forward so that the utilities can be moved out of the way and the road can.
Bridge is what I had on my mind a while ago, and I was talking about a performance bond. So once
Sure.
that bridge is finished and it meets the proper specification, weight loads, et cetera, about what's going through there, y'all do turn that over to the county, right?
Yes, sir.
So I guess the question I got, when the county accepts that we accept responsibility, that's people want to be inspected. Then I guess the maintenance going forward will be on the county.
Correct. Typically in public infrastructure, it'd be a 1-year warranty period before it was handed over. And, for structural defects, things of that nature.
What's the total acreage now that that you're going to develop when you get all this done?
The previously rezoned properties is approximately 180 usable acres.
Okay.
And then the ones that we're talking about today are 5 acres and 3 acres.
So you've got right at 200 acres, give or take,
Close enough. Yes, sir.
to develop. Okay.
Do you have all your sewer commitments and plans in place and approved?
We have we do. The sewer plans are being approved and reviewed by the city of Lebanon, but we've already met with the sewer committee for the county and purchased those credits and were awarded those credits. I don't know, 3 or 4 months ago.
It'd be the sewer access committee. They've got sewer credits for what was previously approved on the east and west side of McCreary Road. Since then, you cannot request sewer approval until you have an approved site plan from the Planning Commission. So they will not be able to request sewer credits for this property or the next item on your agenda until you all approve a site plan. But they do already have, I believe it's 57 SFUs locked in for the previously approved master plan.
Correct.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Anyone else here wishing to speak on this case today? Okay. We have any questions from our board?
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. I'm glad you didn't walk all the way back. So 180 to 200 acres is what we've discussed. And you agree to the restrictions of use. And I'd like to,
There's not been a discussion about the uses yet.
well, let me springboard on that then. One of the things that you hear from the community is noise, jake breaking, 24-hour service. People can't get to their homes, etc. So I'm assuming that all this has been planned by traffic studies that you guys have done for the widening, the turn lanes, the etc. I don't want to get into that weed. There's no need to do that because you're working with Chris on that. But when people approach you or the board and ask, why are we doing this? And what are you going to do for me? Because I live there kind of thing. Because people will still be using that property.
Sure.
They're concerned about that. So something to note with your clients when you talk about that, because at some point there'll be a noise abatement ruling for the county, just like the city, after a certain time. And I'd like to go ahead and look forward to that, although this board is not going to dictate that, but it'll be something to make note of. And that drainage you just pointed out, is that hard tile or is that pervious soil?
It would just be it'd be using existing material, right? So we would just cut in.
Yeah, so
Cut in-
soils or whatever you cut, exactly.
Yes, sir.
So you're not going to make it impervious so that it's just a rushing river.
Correct. It won't be the LA River. That's right.
And with brakes, SWIP brakes and that kind of thing in it to keep flow from being so fast and that kind
Correct. It'll allow an open channel conveyance all the way to Hurricane Creek from the existing intersection
with speed abatements, water flow speed abatements that you'll put in.
if needed. Right.
Of course, your study will show that. Okay. And those, I'm assuming without reading the last chapter in the book, that this next discussion is also your property, the other 3 acres.
Yes, sir. A lot of this grew out of our commitments that we've all been discussing to acquire right of way and to sort and solve the underlying drainage issue at the intersection.
Which has been answered and asked in previous meetings. So
Yes, sir.
that's it. Thank you, sir. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else wishing to speak on this case? Mr. Davis?
Joe Davis, 4040 Vesta Road. Is this just a storage lot, Chris, or
This
Or is it
right
the-
now, this
this
is
gas station?
no. That'd be the next case. This is just the storage lot. The gas station is the next request.
That's what I wondered. And the only thing really I'd have most of my questions have been answered, but like hopefully yours have been too. But I don't think that we ought to have, and I don't guess this lot's big enough to really affect that. but I was thinking maybe that the logistics, I mean, it was still going to be Big Rig. I didn't know it was going to be transferred over to this plan. And I was concerned then that some of the trucks from from their main lot up there could come out this way too. But since that doesn't appear to be the case, but while we're talking about it, I'd still like to see a light or traffic signal at the existing four-way now. So, all that drainage, and I guess it's going to help. And maybe it's a main part of it because it had to go somewhere through there. So, I don't really have a problem with this, just like it stated. Look like you've covered most all the points, but, have a hard time wrapping my head, like some of you do, I think, around this. Of course, we're not engineers, but around how all this water is going to go. But I hope it's going to be better, and like I'm sure you do, than what it is now anyway. So I guess most anything would be an improvement.
Thank you, sir. Why it has nothing to do with our approval or not. What is the topographical elevation difference between Hurricane Creek and the intersection? Do you know that? Well, the sheriff's wanting to put y'all in engineering weekly if they pull it off. So,
I think I will. I mean, it's going to be one of the amazing eighth wonders of the world.
It'll gravity flow. It's around 520 feet in elevation, and I believe it falls to maybe just south of 500 feet in elevation.
Said that tongue in cheek,
No, I understand. That's okay.
but actually, in reality, that's a major problem there. And this is the first plan I've seen since I've been around government, which is 45, 50 years.
Yeah.
That addresses doing something about that problem. Because we know that the land, like Mr. Davis, it's just not going to hold up under all the commercial and industrial construction going on down there. So I hope I live long enough to see it done, because I want to see it work.
Like I said, I think you'll see most of it done in the next 2 years.
Hope I live that long, son.
we can't make that part of the.
I can't make that part of the bargain.
Is this
Yeah, we can't agree to that commitment. That's right. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else here wishing to speak on this case?
Mr. Davis.
Chris, a couple things I'd like to ask a little bit from you is, in your time with the county, is this one of the first developments that we have had that have been willing to make so many concessions in the area to allow the development to occur?
It's not the first one that's made concessions. It's probably the most expensive concessions that have been made. Nobody's offered to replace a bridge.
This is almost like opening up a new era of working with developers to make things where they are acceptable. That's the exciting thing to me. I realize these guys have got a monumental task, but they're engineers and they know what they're doing, and we know where they've got to be there. But to me, I think that is a breakthrough for us in the county. And in respect to what you're talking about, a lot of people have tried to straighten that problem out down there for years, and here we now have a private company in a development making probably one of the greatest attempts to eradicate that drainage problem down there. I think this is a remarkable breakthrough in development for us. That's all.
You had something, Mr. Renfro?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Davis broached a subject that's important, and that he talked about a traffic light. To expound on that, and the sheriff, you'll have to correct me, but from what I understand, there's quite a few wrecks over the eastern approach on Vesta Road as they come across. They don't realize, unfamiliar folk, that there's a four-way stop down at the bottom, and they've run through people and crashed and even lost a life. Is that part of this interchange fix, or is the mound and the hill going to remain into that four-way stop, which is transitional in on up to the other stop?
It's part of it, Mr. Renfro, and you'll be able to see if they have the general site plan for the next item on the agenda. That we're adjusting the curvature. We're raising the intersection to take the sag out of the curve. We're installing a 3-barrel box culvert to convey the water underneath the intersection. And we're prioritizing movements for trucks and traffic to have continuous flow with dedicated left turn lanes. So people that are making left turn movements have a separate lane to sit in to turn left onto Vesta and McCrary North.
You're bringing the elevation of the road up about 9 or 10 feet.
Yes, sir.
That is awesome. I'm going to support the commissioner on, and your recommendation to engineers weekly. That's,
Take it.
that's pretty good.
Any other questions from our board? Do we have a motion?
Motion.
We have a motion to approve, subject to staff recommendations.
Uh,
Wait a minute.
I did-
There are some
I did
caveats
not-
you wanted to add.
well, that and I did not recommend approval because the current land use plan does not have direction for this, so it can't. You can make it subject to staff recommendations, but you're gonna have to amend a little bit of it. But the uses also need to be outlined, and then if there's that'll need to be discussed, and then if there's storage similar to the United Rental site, if they do storage of that, staff would like to see the privacy fence along the public right of way there.
Okay.
But that would need to be agreed to because that was not on the original submitted plan.
Would you state what you were asking for, Christopher?
What I initially asked for, and you all can amend this as you see fit if you want to ask the developer, but it would be the removal of the laydown yard and the light industrial uses that are proposed. And then if you wish to see storage of equipment on site, that a privacy fence be required along public right of way, similar to what was approved with the United Rentals master plan.
It's subject to that.
What else does light industrial open them up to?
Light industrial would be similar to some of the storage uses that they have. We actually allow like slaughterhouses in light industrial as well. I don't foresee that use going here, but it would be there.
It's a diversification more than anything, isn't it, Chris?
It's yeah, but just stating light industrial is a little concerning because it's like it's mostly contract supply is what it's going to allow, but it would allow a significant outdoor storage of just raw materials on site. I'd like to try and stay away from that because I don't think that was the intent of this district. I know there's a lot of tractor trailer storage on site, but at present there's no storage of just plumbing material or HVAC units that are out in the open. And that light industrial would allow that to be stored on site without being stored indoors.
Mr. Quinn, you said y'all were willing to make those concessions. Would you state that,
Yes, sir. We're willing to make those concessions.
which would be the laydown, to eliminate laydown yards of lighting that would come along with light industrial, and site storage?
Correct. We'd like to at least be able to store equipment if that's possible. But does that fall outside of what you're describing?
No. The equipment storage was approved similar on the north. The concession with that is that there has to be an opaque privacy fence installed along the public right of way.
We're fine with those conditions.
Just let the record show the developers agreed to that.
And Mr. Chairman, does that mean, a point to my colleague, the question of selling the property, that won't change?
It would be site specific again, correct, Christopher?
Yeah, that'll stay with the site if he chooses to sell it.
Excellent.
How does the motion need to read now?
All the above at all?
If you're so inclined to make a motion to approve it, Christopher, correct me.
Yeah, you could.
The developer is conceding that this will not be a laydown yard, and it would not be used for light industrial.
And the fence.
If it's used for storage, screening, what
It'd be an opaque
proper
screening.
screening, open screening would be,
I'll still make the motion with those parts being included.
okay. Everyone ever understand the motion?
Yeah.
Okay. Mr. Jewell made the motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a second from Mr. Turner. All those in favor vote aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? That motion will carry. Thank you, Mr. Quinn. Okay, you ready to go to the next, Christopher?
Yes, sir. I'd like to say the next one's not going to be as confusing, but that's not the case. Application has been made by property owner. This is McCreary's Ventures East LLC.
Where are we
You
now?
have to explain that to me eventually, Nathan. And Tanny Mattingly requesting a land use plan amendment from low density residential area to medium and high density high density / medium to high density intensity commercial. The applicant also seeks to rezone the same property from R1 rural residential to C2 general commercial. They also are requesting a master plan specific, which I'll cover that in a second. The property contains approximately 3.98 acres and is located at 3266, 3290, and 3320 McCreary Road, and is further referenced as parcels 3609, 3610, and 3611 on Wilson County Tax Map 137. Application has been made by property owner McCreary Ventures East LLC and Tanny Madeleine request. That's the same paragraph again, apologize. Wilson County Land Use Plan has provided direction since 2006. Such density or intensity realization would be subject to findings that match of the infrastructure required to support such density. The intensity of land development was in place. The applicant has requested that the 2006 adopted land use plan be amended in relation to this parcel to allow high intensity commercial. The current plan has this area as low density residential. However, this being said, much of the surrounding area has been amended to allow high-intensity commercial, and much of the surrounding property has been rezoned to C4 planned commercial to allow retail, warehouse, distribution, and rental/storage lots. The proposed use for this property is a gas station and convenience market. Without a variance of the lot size requirement for a PUD given, the Planning Commission cannot hold the developer to any specific use on the property. They are calling out that they are wanting convenience markets and self-service fuel stations. I'll address that variance at the end. Should the County Planning Commission or the County Commission ultimately decide to approve this request for rezoning, a site plan will be required at the time the property is proposed for development under commercial zoning. And all commercial requirements, including permitting, paving, landscaping, building material, and public sewer provisions would apply to the property unless variances are granted by the Board of Zoning Appeals. Finally, staff has made copies of this rezoning request available to Emergency Services, Wilson County Schools, and the Road Commission. Staff will note that the proposed rezoning falls within the limits of the Gladeville-Wema Station's 5-mile ISO response zone for fire and emergency services. The County Stormwater Department has requested that the applicant, Planning Commission, and other interested parties be put on notice that the presence of sinkholes, caves, wetland streams, and land areas that are extremely flat, marshy, or steep may affect further development of these tracts of land.
Okay.
One second.
You're fine.
Got too much going on here. In this instance, staff does have concerns about the adequate infrastructure in the area, along with some drainage concerns. The applicant is also responsible for the master plan development that has been approved directly to the... I'm reading. I've stopped. Forgot to flip pages. I'm sorry. It's like that looks the same. As an additional point of information, the rezoning does not appear to be in close or immediate proximity to any Century Farms based on information provided to the Wilson County Planning Department. The plan was submitted as a C2 PUD. For this to be considered as a PUD, a variance is in the minimum lot size for a commercial PUD will need to be granted by this board and subsequently the County Commission. So you'll have two motions that'll need to be made. It'll be approval of the land use amendment and the rezoning, and then you'll have to take up the variance for the PUD size separately. Due to the request's direct proximity to established master plan, staff can see reason for the Planning Commission to approve this request. With the request, if approved, staff recommends the developer agree to the intersection improvements of McCreary and Vesta Road that are part of the McCreary Road Industrial Master Plan that was approved on August 19, 2024, be completed prior to the approval of a site plan. The Planning Commission will also need to consider the variance request for a commercial PUD on this property as requested. Currently, the property does not have land use direction for a high-intensity commercial or C2 zoning in this area. Therefore, staff cannot recommend approval. The variance request for the PUD, that will allow you to tie the two uses, which would be the self-service gas station and the convenience market, to the only uses allowed on this site. Otherwise, if you deny that variance and approve the request, it would just be a C2 general commercial zoning, which would be anything allowed within the C2 district. So, I mean, there are benefits to that, but a commercial PUD requires 15 acres. To kind of clarify some things, the last case, I know there were only 5 acres total, but they were amending that entire PUD, which was 26 acres total. But they're only adding 5 additional acres to it, but we look at the overall size of the property as opposed to what is being added.
Christopher, the flag lot that lies between the piece of property we just got done dealing with and these 3 parcels here, who owns it?
That is currently part of Big Rig Trucking's
Okay.
existing C3 PUD.
Okay. And I do see, while these may be the same owners, they're titled differently, correct?
Yes, sir, that's correct.
Okay. So we don't have the ability to tie anything we want to do here to the property,
I
other properties.
don't think you can tie it to the south. I think you can tie it to the intersection improvements that were promised by the developer for the previously approved master plan in August of 2024.
Well, and
Because this,
this probably doesn't work without those improvements anyway.
Correct. In the site plan we offered,
yeah, can you flip to the site
incorporate
plan?
the intersection improvement. So it shows the tie-in point. Oh, they got it right there.
Can you go back to the slide that you had up?
Which one? The aerial?
I have a question when it's appropriate. Okay, so
Yeah, please go. Yes, sir.
So you, if I'm wrong, really it's not a planning commission thing, but y'all have acquired those properties or have those under contract, right?
Yes, sir. The 2 northern properties we own, and then the Mattingly property, which is the 3rd one to the south, we are under contract to purchase.
So if we didn't approve this, then y'all wouldn't buy the property.
The Mattingly property, honestly, we probably still would because of the right-of-way acquisition that we need.
I'm concerned that they get taken care of. That's my issue here.
We don't have a contract to purchase right-of-way. We only have a contract to purchase the entire property. So this, by us, when we close on that remaining piece, we would eliminate any remaining residential properties south of the intersection.
Doesn't need to be.
Okay, which 2 do you currently own?
The 2 page up, so the top 2 closest to Couchville Pike.
The corner lot and the next one up.
Yes, sir.
The piece of property directly behind it, Christopher, I know they've turned several of those into commercial uses. Is
You're
it
talking to the east there, or
yes,
to
no,
the west?
to the west.
That is currently Color Burst Landscaping Business. It's
It
been
is being used commercially.
yes, it's being used commercially. Then there's I believe a gap of one house, and then the next house
Dentist.
is a dentist office.
It's all changing. It's all changing down there.
They all have commercial direction there. I mean,
I remember we rezoned it. But most of it is currently being used commercially.
yes, with the exception of the one house that I'm assuming it probably will go commercial in some time, but it's not being utilized like that.
Okay. Do we have anyone here wishing to speak on this case today? Mr. Davis?
2 questions. Is it actually room for a convenience store and all in that place there?
There's probably room for a business there. I don't know about the size of what would be proposed on there. A lot of that, I don't know how much of that lot is being eaten up with the right of way. I mean, they show a significant portion of it with the realignment, and then they're also going to have to accommodate for the drainage swell that's going to go to the rear of that property.
This would have be allowed for 18 wheelers or not?
No, a self-service gas station in C2 would not allow. It would not allow high-flow diesel flow trucks. Now, that's not to say that one won't pull in there, but they can't fuel high-flow diesel flow trucks at a self-service station.
Not intended for that purpose.
No, sir.
That's what the truck stop down there.
Yeah, I understand. We'll get to that in a minute. But anyway, this could be a good thing because, their service station, they're not going to want stagnant water behind it. So, the drainage plan, however it works or doesn't work, will have to work if this is approved. And really the road too, because if the road doesn't all work out, you won't be able to get into the convenience store. So actually this could be a good thing. So that's all the questions that I had. And the only other thing is I had to stop twice lately, and I don't go down through there very much. So that would be probably half the time I go in front of Love's or coming back to my house from, that area, or from south of there, west of there. I had to wait for trucks to pull out from the stop sign. They just pulled right out, right in front of me. I had to stop and wait till they pulled out. And it's more dangerous than just a regular stop sign because you don't ever know. I'll give them this. Most all of them stop there. Not all of them. Some of them just slow down there and pull right on out if it's halfway clear. But you don't never know whether they're going to keep sitting there or whether they're just going to pull on out. And I mean, they'll pull on out and make you sit there and wait. Not quite as bad. They're stopping pretty fair up to get on 840. If you're going west, you have a pretty good chance. But coming back east, you never know what's going to happen there. So, somewhere, and this may not be the appropriate time, but somebody needs to reconsider a light or something there, to protect the residents, if anybody, and really the trucks too, because I'm sure they wonder about, well, can I pull out, if I got enough room to pull out here, or if I got to take a big chance, and if that area is not dangerous, what happened to the fire truck up there the other day that ran off the road? It was right across from the dentist office. They were down there where their house, the Job house, I won't call it the Flood house, but they were down there, working on burning that house. And I didn't see it. I just saw it on Facebook. But there's a big place there where they ran off the road. So I don't know whether they had trouble with trucks or dump trucks but obviously I'm sure that professional drivers like that weren't just not paying attention. I would think they got eased off the road some kind of way.
You'd hope so. Yes.
Yeah. Thank you.
Christopher, in the road plans they've submitted, is there tell us how this, and you can do this, Mr. Quinn, I'm sorry. Tell us how traffic's going to flow each direction from there. Because this is specifically designed to make it to where you can't turn back to the east at that intersection. Make it very, very hard.
We make it very difficult, yeah.
I guess you can do anything you want to if you're willing to drive through somebody's property, but there are no signal lights at all proposed?
Not at this realignment, no, sir.
Okay. The existing, where it forks and goes there, does it go away? Or if you were coming from the south to the north and you could turn to the east on Vesta Road? Yes, Vesta Road, Couchville Pike.
Like that little cut through road?
Yes. Does it go away?
Yes.
It completely goes away.
There will, yeah. It's currently a 4-way stop. When it's done and realigned, it'll be a 1-way stop.
You would stop if you were headed to the interstate.
You would stop if you're heading westbound on Vesta Road.
I'll walk you through it real quick.
Well, before you do that, let me ask you this question. Yes. Again, going back to road commission. If there's not a signal, it needs to be extensive signage, because Siri is going to keep telling people you can go that way when you can't.
Right. It would have to be updated ultimately. And, Google Maps or Siri, like you're referencing, after it gets recorded and platted.
I don't think we've had much luck getting them able to upgrade anything around here.
I guess that'd be a challenge for us after we get through these other challenges. Right.
Put that on your list.
Ultimately, we prioritized continuous flow for eastbound movements going this way, and the same for northbound movements heading back towards 840. Any traffic coming southbound on McCreary Road or westbound on Vesta, McCreary Road would have a stop sign here before they made any movements on Vesta, and then Vesta would have a stop sign and stop bar here before they made any left or right turning movements. And we also made sure we had a dedicated left turn lane for any movements to get safely out of, continuous traffic.
So that's not a temporary road, that's a permanent road.
That's our permanent road design. This just represents the old right-of-way.
Right.
So this is where the old intersection used to be, and this is that old little cut through. So
But
all of that would
designed to keep people off Vesta Road East and Macquarie Road headed
correct.
north.
Correct. This is meant to guide any heavy traffic or industrial traffic.
That'll be built first.
Yes, sir.
Is it possible to specify no truck traffic on East Vesta Road beyond this point? getting back to the road commission.
We can,
I know we can't do that, but there'd be something that you might want to add since there's no light there, because what's going to happen is people that are coming from McCrary and Vesta, now that they've got this small convenience, if it does turn into be a convenience store, they're going to zip across at lunchtime, go into the store, pick up whatever they want to eat, leave and shoot right across and maybe not stop trying to get back to McCrary or right on Vesta up to some of those smaller businesses. So
To put that exact stipulation, that would be a conversation you'd have to have with the road commission, and they would probably have to get that adopted through their board. You'd have to put signage and some sort of enforcement penalty, because in essence, at the end of the day, it's a public road.
that's because GPS is going to take you wherever it's the shortest to go. And
Yep.
I can see 18 trucks running down Vesta Road trying to get out to 231.
Sure.
well, I mean, it would be difficult for them to do that as this is designed.
They'll go right across the yard.
Well, there's only so much you can do.
Yep.
But if you can figure that out, we need to address Underwood Road and Lone Oak Road and Fellowship Road while we're doing this. So,
Posey Hill.
well, you jump part of it. I'm trying to stay in the vicinity. All right. Thank you, Mr. Quinn.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Anyone else here wishing to speak on this property today? Do we have any other questions from our board?
Naturally, Mr. Chairman, combined tracks, that's intent after approval here that all three of those will be one based on this
They will
sketch.
have to be combined before a site plan can be submitted on top of them.
Excellent. And the setbacks that we've been discussing for earlier properties, does that affect, because my colleague asked, is this big enough to hold a convenience store? Are they still 50 and 60?
Not for C2. It would be for C2. I can tell you here.
So that'd be tight if it was.
Yeah, no, C2 is different than the C4 master plan that we were talking about at Couchville Crossings. That is going to be, it'd be 40 feet off of McCreary or Vesta, whatever it ends up being labeled, and then 10 feet off of the side yards, which that's probably all this has. It doesn't really have a...
Looking at its scale, I think it all meets, looks good there.
I think they currently have a 60-foot front setback. So if you approve the variance for the PUD, we will go with the 60-foot that they have, unless there's a request to amend that to 40. But the 10-foot would be required on the other two property lines.
That variance you're talking about is
It says 40. Yeah. Okay.
the variance you're talking about is the lot size.
The lot size variance for a PUD. The lot in essence is fine for a C2 straight zone commercial. They're requesting a PUD, which is locking them into that quick service retail and convenience market. If you just approve it as a straight zone C2, you have any use that's allowed in C2 would be allowed. So they're asking you to constrain them in this instance.
And one of the things that people complain to us about again is construction entrances. So you got 3, 4 things working at the same time, and you're going to flip the switch and all of it's going to roll. Is all of this coming off McCrary Road as a construction entrance for the local residents? Are they going to have to deal with that? Or is it time constrained, et cetera, that kind of thing?
Make sure I understand your question. Are you asking what would be the,
For these properties, you're going to join here and then the 5 acres, if you put construction entrances on all of those places adjacent to one another, are we going to have a convoluted mess of traffic in that area because of the construction for residents that live near the area?
I would say honestly that there will definitely be a period where, as we're building this out, that traffic will be.
You'll have to have flagmen and et cetera. Yeah.
And I think that we would have one construction entrance for the property we're speaking about currently, and one construction entrance for the big rig property that we were speaking about previously. We wouldn't have multiple on a site that size. There'd just be one.
So you wouldn't shut them down for 3 days and they couldn't get in and out, or emergency vehicles, et cetera, et
No,
cetera.
absolutely not. I don't think we could do that legally.
Just making note in for the meeting. Yes, sir. And can we flip back to that showing the flag? My chairman made a good point, and I want to bring something up here. Your drainage is coming to the head on that 5 acres just on the south side of their flag entrance. So are you going to, since you're combining and allowing drainage, which you're going to want to get into that same ditch, assuming, due to the elevations and gradients, are you going to be able to negotiate or put a tile under that flag entrance for the big rig trucks, their property, Is that part of your fix to go onto their property as well?
That was part of the master plan that you just previously approved.
Excellent. I just want to make sure.
Yeah, that's a good question. Yeah, that flag is actually part of the existing C3 PUD for Big Rig. They had 2 connection points to McCreary Road.
And allow you to then to continue your drainage and help them out with that.
So amending that PUD would allow us to put that drainage ditch through their property, including the flag.
This question is for you, Chris. You said general approval for commercial or specific, depending on how we do it. Can you repeat those 2 differences so that we can formulate?
If you approve the variance for the PUD, you can approve it as a C2 PUD, which they're asking for 2 specific uses, which is quick service retail and then a convenience market. If you deny the request for the PUD, you can still approve it as C2 general commercial, but they would be allowed any use under the C2 zone district at that point.
Doing it in the PUD is providing protections for the county.
It is.
That's what I'm hearing, I think, Mr. Chairman. Okay, that was it, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
Just for the property to the southeast of Vesta Road, that actually abuts the property they y'all on up the road here. There is no land use direction for it to be commercial at this point, is there?
No, I mean,
Or is there any across the street?
no, on McCreary, like going north on McCreary at that point across the street.
Yeah.
Yeah.
East
No,
side.
there's no commercial land use direction. I mean, to be honest, these properties that were rezoned in 2024 and the 2 that are in front of you today, or I guess 4 total, none of them have commercial land use direction.
Nothing east of there, with the exception of what they've got on out McQuarrie Road, has any land use guidance for commercial.
That is correct.
And this intersection is going to, quite frankly, dictate anything from actually going that direction.
It is.
Is that a fair assessment?
That is. In the future, I'd say you're probably going to have to think about McCreary Road going north a little bit, maybe. But directly to the east of their existing site is Gladeville Utility. So, I mean,
Correct.
that's kind of a hard cut. I mean, Mr. Davis's property is there as well. So I don't know what his intent is, but that may come up. But there's kind of an existing hard stop with the utility going eastbound on Vesta. Going north on McCreary, a lot of those properties have the potential to abut up to Logistics Drive, which is an industrial road, which would be my recommendation if they're going to develop those properties, is to find access onto Logistics Drive so they're not putting truck traffic on McCreary Road.
But Logistics Drive it's deadheaded at this point. Literally, there's a lot at the back.
Yeah, but some of the properties, yeah, some of the properties that still have, that are fronting on McCreary currently, have the ability to get access to Logistics Drive on their western edge.
But nothing on Logistics Drive at this point has any access to McQuarrie. Is that usable access?
That is correct. Yes, usable access.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Yep.
Any other questions from our board? And Christopher, we need to vote probably first as to whether or not we will make the exception to allow a PUD in this smaller parcel. Is that correct?
Yes, sir. And then I would vote on the land use amendment and the rezoning.
Okay. Do we have a motion as it pertains to giving the variance for the land size needed on the PUD that they're proposing? And what is the actual size you're supposed to have?
15
acres.
15 acres. And y'all got roughly 5.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I'll make a motion, we grant the applicant a variance for the PUD size requirements.
Okay. We have a motion from Mr. Turner to grant the PUD size acreage variance. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second from Mr. Jewell. All those in favor vote aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, that motion will carry. And the next one is what you're looking for here, Christopher, is to approve the PUD and the rezoning, land use plan and rezoning, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Do we have a motion on it? And we do not have staff recommendation
I don't.
for this at this time, correct?
I don't have land use direction in this area.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
I do have a question, Mr. Chairman, regarding that.
Yes, sir.
Is the new plan that we're working on showing anything to do with that commercial land use in that area besides what this side of McCrary you just pointed out?
There are 2 technical different owners here, and I think the only thing we're being able to tie them to are the road improvements at the intersection. Is that correct, Christopher? And it won't work, period, unless they get the drainage in place.
That is correct, but your question was the land use plan that we're currently
The
operating
one
on?
that we're upgrading 2006 to from.
It does not have existing commercial direction going any farther east than what's
And
currently.
what is there now?
Yes, sir.
So this would not be outside the scope of general common sense use, that area.
That is
That's
correct.
been-
'Cause this area is currently low density residential. It is, the new land use plan is putting these properties, if it gets approved, into commercial.
Just
district.
considered the 840 corridor we've mentioned so many times.
Yes, sir.
Okay, yeah, that cleared it up, sir. Thank you. And I'll ask for that approval.
We have a motion from Mr. Renfro to approve the rezoning PUD with the caveat that it be tied to the road improvements at the intersection. Is there anything else, Christopher?
No, sir. I think that's it.
We have a motion from Mr. Renfro. Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Have a second from Mr. Ash. All those in favor vote aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion will carry. Thank you, Mr. Quinn. All right, Christopher, we're now ready for site plans.
Yes, sir. The first site plan under new business is the site plan for First Rockdale Park monument sign and address markers. This is a series of 3 monument signs along Maddox Road. There's one larger, it'll be a business sign, and then the other 2 are directional signs for truck traffic. Staff can recommend approval with technical corrections. The applicant is working on getting us a more revised aerial.
Do we have anyone here wishing to speak on this case today? Do we have any questions from our board? We have a motion.
Motion to approve. Second.
I have a motion from Mr. Ash, second by Mr. Jewell for approval. All those in favor vote aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? That motion will carry. Ready for the site plan for Dillon Point subdivision monument sign.
And so this is the site plan for Dillon Point subdivision monument signs. There is one sign on Old Hunters Point Pike and another sign on Cedar Grove Road. They're doing it as a sign package. Site plan meets requirements. Staff can recommend approval.
Thank you. Do we have anyone here wishing to speak on this case today? Have any questions from our board? Do we have a motion?
Motion to approve based.
Second.
We have a motion from Ms. Weathers to approve based on staff recommendation. Who made the second? Mr. Renfro, second by Mr. Renfro. All those in favor vote aye.
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 Those opposed? That motion will also carry. We have a site plan for King's Old Country Store.
Site plan for King's Old Country Store. Staff can recommend approval with technical corrections. I'm still working through them on the design of this site.
Is that, there's already a King's Country Store. Is that the same?
Yes, this is this will be retitled to Sam King's Market, I believe, is what we're going to require this because yes, there is an existing King's Country Store on Coles Ferry Pike.
Tied up with 911.
Yep, and that's part of the corrections. So I mean that could be part of your motion that the title be changed to, but we're working with them to change it to Sam King's. That was the owner's name, I believe.
But at this point, you're recommending approval, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Anyone here wishing to speak on this case today?
I'm here, working design for this, civil engineering group.
All right, thank you. Anyone else wishing to speak on it?
What's his name?
Any questions from our board?
Yes, sir. For you, that the sign change, name change is not a problem for you, the owner, or anybody at all. No issues whatsoever. So you'll take staff recommendations for that. So move, Mr. Chairman.
It's in the city, by the way.
No, it's actually the first property outside city limits.
What was your name, sir? We need it for the record.
Zach Elliott.
Zach Elliott. All right, thank you. Sure.
Is this the only?
Any other questions from our board? Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Have a motion approved from Mr. Renfro, subject staff recommendations. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second from Mr. Jewell. All those in favor vote aye.
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 Those opposed? Motion will also carry. We're ready for the preliminary plat for the Oaks Phase 3.
This is a preliminary plat for the Oaks Phase 3. This is a renewal of this plat. Plat meets requirements. Staff can recommend approval.
Do we have anyone here today wishing to speak on this case?
Good morning, everyone. It's been a minute. Nice to see you again.
Kyle Griffin, CSDG. Just here to answer any questions you may have. As Christopher mentioned, this is just a renewal. No changes have been made, just updating the dates.
Is the Oaks what's already being developed? Okay.
That's correct.
Okay. All right. Anyone else wishing to speak on this case today? Any questions from our board?
No, sir.
Do we have a motion?
Motion to approve.
Have a motion from Mr. Turner to approve, subject to staff recommendations. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second from Ms. Weathers. All those in favor vote aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, that motion will carry. And the final for the Oaks, section 2.
Yep. This is the final for the Oaks Section 2. The Section 1 is currently, I believe, almost built out. This is part of the original preliminary. Staff can recommend approval with technical corrections.
Okay.
This is for an additional 20, or not additional, 27 lots to finish out the original Oaks preliminary of 27 lots.
Anyone here wishing to speak on this case today? Yes, sir.
Good morning. Randy Sexton with Crafted Communities, also known as Landmark Homes, previously known as Landmark Homes. As Christopher mentioned, Section 1, Phase 1 is currently built out. So we're about 3 weeks from paving this phase, and we're here to answer any questions you may have.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Anyone else wishing to speak on this case today? Any questions from our board? Okay, we have a motion.
Motion to approve.
A motion to approve from Mr. Jewell. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second from Mr. Ash. All those in favor vote aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, that motion will carry. And I guess we are ready for affirmation plats. Is that correct, Chris?
Yes, sir. Do you care if I group all these together, or do you want to?
We usually do, unless you want to pull one out for a specific reason.
No, I didn't. I want to ask to make sure that nobody has a conflict with any of them.
Is there any outliers in it at all?
No, not in these. First one is the re-subdivision of the C.W. Freeman and Phyllis Freeman property, formerly known as the Darrell Crawford property. It's at 9731 Coles Ferry Pike. It is one lot. Next one is the re-subdivision of the James David Collinsworth property. This is 2 lots at 2929 and 2893 Callis Road. Map 94, parcels 21.00 and 21.01. Third is the re-subdivision of the Charles and Barbara Vilk property at 690 Harkreader Road, being 1 lot on map 117, parcel 24.18. Next is the re-subdivision of the Fred Wright Living Trust property, lot 4 at 1877 Burton Road, being 1 lot, map 27, parcel 66.02. So next is a boundary survey of Ali Kozark property. Is 1 lot on Fisher Drive, being map 37P, group B, parcel 7.03. And I know you all don't typically approve boundary surveys, but that is a survey that is just platting a lot that is existing by deed only. So that's why it's called a boundary survey. The last is the subdivision of the Timothy J. Davis and wife Mary L. Davis on Beasley's Bend Road. It is 2 lots. It's map 5, parcel 2.00. All these have been working with staff. Some of them may have mild technical corrections, but staff can recommend approval.
Anyone here wishing to speak on any of these above cases? Any questions from our board?
Just a quick one.
Yes.
Boundary survey is on this for what reason? Is this kind of?
It is an existing tract of record that is only referenced by deed. So it is a very old tract of record that was never platted.
No anything is available to reference except the deed. Is that correct?
Well, I think there's iron.
There is iron?
No, I don't. I think it's a meets and bounds that they're drawing a plat. They put iron in.
Nothing unusual. Just
no.
firm.
It's an existing lot that was created, I think, way back in the 50s.
So it's not conflictual with adjacent property owners or any of that?
Okay. Nope.
That was it, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
Sure. Any other questions? We have a motion.
Motion to approve.
Motion to approve by Mr. Brothers. Second by Mr. Renfro. All those in favor vote aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? That motion will carry. State law does mandate that we give the public an opportunity to speak to us about anything that's not on our agenda at this time. And at this time, I'll open the floor if anybody wants to talk to us about anything. Seeing none. Christopher, do you have anything else?
I do not have anything else at this time.
Okay.
Motion to adjourn.
I have a motion to adjourn. We don't even need a second. We're adjourned.